the predator that hunted all worlds, until a human called it cute. The Galactic Council's emergency session had been called for the third time in as many cycles. Representatives from 12 different species huddled in their protective biosuits, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and electromagnetic pulses that the universal translators struggled to process. "It has struck again," announced Zephyrian Prime Minister Keith 9, his crystalline form flickering with distress patterns. "The mining colony on Kepler 442b, 300 souls, gone." A collective shudder ran through the assembly. The entity they had come to know as the Void Stalker had been terrorizing the Outer Rim for standard months now. No weapon could harm it, no shield could stop it. It appeared without warning, consumed everything living on a world, then vanished into the quantum foam between dimensions. 17 worlds, chittered Ambassador Veltar of the Arachnid Collective, her 8 legs tapping nervously against the metal floor. 17 worlds, stripped bare. My people's greatest hunters flee. At the mere mention of its name. The holographic display in the center of the chamber showed the creature's last recorded appearance. A writhing mass of shadow and starlight, roughly humanoid but wrong in every conceivable way. Eyes like dying suns dotted its surface, and tendrils of pure darkness extended from its core, each one capable of draining the life force from anything they touched. "The warrior clans of Drakmor have retreated to their homeworld," rumbled General Thax, his armored carapace scarred from 1,000 battles. "They call it the end of honor, a foe that cannot be fought with blade or courage." "Perhaps," suggested the ethereal voice of High Counselor Yill from her containment field, "we should consider evacuation protocols for the remaining outer colonies." "No." The word cut through the discussion like a plasma blade. All heads turned toward the human delegation's corner, where Ambassador Sarah Chen sat calmly reviewing data on her tablet. She was small by galactic standards. Most species towered over humans, but something in her voice commanded attention. "Ambassador Chen." Keith 9's form pulsed with confusion. "Surely you understand the gravity." "I understand perfectly." Sarah interrupted, standing up. "You're all running from something you don't understand. Has anyone actually tried to communicate with it?" The chamber erupted in various forms of alien laughter, from Veltar's sharp chittering to Thax's booming roars. "Communicate?" General Thax's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Human. This creature is death incarnate. It speaks only in the language of annihilation." Sarah's lips curved into a slight smile, an expression that always made other species uncomfortable. "Then it's a good thing humans are excellent at learning new languages." 3 days later, the Aurora's Edge, a human exploration vessel, dropped out of hyperspace near Sigma Draconis III. The Void Stalker's projected next target. Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching long-range sensors as his xenobiologist. Dr. Elena Vasquez made final preparations. "You sure about this, Doc?" Rodriguez asked, his weathered face creased with concern. "The whole galaxy thinks we're insane." Elena adjusted her scanner array one final time. "Marcus, I've spent 20 years studying quantum dimensional entities. This thing, it's not malevolent, it's confused. Confused entities don't usually eat entire civilizations." "No," Elena agreed, "but trapped, scared entities do tend to lash out." The bridge lights suddenly dimmed as space itself seemed to bend around them. Reality twisted, and then it was there. The Void Stalker, magnificent and terrifying in its alien majesty. Tendrils of living shadow writhed around a core of condensed starlight, and those terrible burning eyes focused on their small vessel. Every alarm on the ship began screaming warnings about dimensional breaches and exotic radiation. But Elena stepped forward to the view screen, completely transfixed. "Oh my God," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "You're not a predator at all, are you?" The creature's approach slowed, as if responding to her tone rather than her words. "Look at those movement patterns, Marcus. It's not hunting, it's searching. And those energy readings." Elena's fingers flew over her console. "It's not consuming life force. It's trying to convert our dimension's energy into something it can metabolize. The entity's tendrils reached toward their ship and Rodriguez's hand moved to the emergency jump button. But Elena grabbed his wrist. Wait, it's beautiful. She opened a communication channel, not bothering with the universal translator. Instead, she spoke in the most universal language she knew, math. Simple mathematical sequences broadcast on quantum frequencies the entity would understand. The Void Stalker stopped moving entirely. Elena followed up with more complex equations, dimensional theory, energy conversion formulas, even basic stellar cartography. The entity's form began to shift, the writhing becoming more organized, almost hopeful. I think, Elena said softly, it's been trying to ask for help this whole time. She transmitted one final sequence, a map of local dimensional rift points that could potentially serve as a pathway home. The entity's form pulsed with what could only be described as excitement. Then, in a burst of grateful energy that felt warm rather than threatening, it transmitted back coordinates to its home dimension, and something that Elena's xenolinguistic training recognized as a concept approximating thank you. As the entity prepared to depart, Elena made a decision that would become legend among both humans and the Galactic Council. She opened a visual channel and waved. Take care of yourself. Out there, you beautiful cosmic wanderer. The Void Stalker paused at the dimensional threshold it had opened. For just a moment, its terrible burning eyes seemed to soften, and something that might have been affection pulsed through its quantum signature. Then it was gone, returning to whatever realm it had been accidentally torn from. 3 weeks later, Ambassador Chen stood before the Galactic Council once again. The chamber was silent as she delivered her report. The entity has been successfully repatriated to its home dimension, she announced. It was never a predator. It was a lost child, scared and trying to get home the only way it knew how. Impossible, General Thax rumbled. Our greatest warriors tried to fight it, Sarah interrupted. But humans didn't see a monster. Dr. Vasquez saw a frightened creature that needed help. She paused, looking around the chamber at the assembled representatives of dozens of worlds and species. That's the difference between humans and the rest of you. When you see something you don't understand, you assume it's a threat. When we see something we don't understand, our first instinct is to try to understand it. She smiled that unsettling, human smile again. Sometimes we even find it cute. As the session adjourned, Ambassador Veltar approached the human delegation, her multiple eyes reflecting something that might have been respect. How do you do it? She asked. How do you show such compassion to something so alien and terrifying? Sarah considered the question carefully. Maybe it's because we remember what it feels like to be the scary ones. Every species we've met has been afraid of us at first. We learned that sometimes the scariest-looking creatures just need someone to see past the surface and offer a helping hand. She gathered her materials and headed for the exit, adding over her shoulder, besides, once you get past all the cosmic horror and dimensional tentacles, it really was kind of adorable. The Galactic Council would later establish the Chen Protocol, AA, first contact procedure emphasizing communication and understanding over defensive measures. And somewhere in the quantum foam between dimensions, a being of living starlight remembered the small creatures who had called it beautiful and helped it find its way home. Some said that on quiet nights, sensitive quantum detectors would pick up faint signals from deep space, mathematical love songs from a grateful cosmic entity to the humans who had seen its true nature when everyone else saw only death.